Hi everyone, Kelt here, bringing you my thoughts on the British royal family, and today I'll be talking about some interesting information I've received about Meghan and Harry. But first I want to acknowledge the non-event regarding the so-called scoop from the Markle family. It was indeed a Markle family nothing burger again. I really was hoping it would be more, but I think it's becoming more obvious that they are indeed working with Meghan rather than against. It certainly seems that way nowadays. I might be wrong. I still cannot help but feel sorry for her father, but maybe they do want to get their point across and are allowing the media to stir up so much excitement about an alleged scoop and information that would, in their words, shock the whole world. So yes, I can understand if they are allowing this, so that they can get their point across and make some money in the process. Good on them if that's the case. But the timing, right before the coronation, does beg the question, are they working for Harry and Meghan? Or for the royal family? They make Meghan and Harry look bad, but the timing also is not helpful. But I guess it's all, like the rest of it, a distraction. Some are saying that calling her sister toxic proves that she has no time for her, whereas it seems that Thomas Markle, Sr., would reunite with her at the drop of a hat. The more promises of bombshell interviews, which then amount to very little new information, are keeping the interest going and also providing the Markle family with a bit of an income. And then there is the fact that the constant reference to the relationship being toxic by Samantha might mean that they will be quite happy to throw Harry under the bus as regards things that have been suggested about him to do with his mental state and alleged abuse involving women, while Harry throws his family under the same bus to make money out of the family. There is a possibility that Meghan's father will attend Archie's birthday party, and maybe photos of that will come out. That's the only thing I can imagine that would overshadow the joy of the coronation day. It's his birthday party with just a handful of children and mostly adults, maybe a few neighbours, and no matter who the neighbours are, it won't make that much of an impression. However, reconciliation with her father, especially after these few years, would be the best way, in her mind, to take all the attention away from the coronation and King Charles, because for years many have been wanting to see that little bit of humanity in Meghan reuniting with her father. It would be the perfect PR move. Though it wouldn't wash for many of us, as we would see it for what it is, manipulation and part of the plan. I think that Meghan always seems to manage to benefit from anything, whether it's good or bad PR, and this time she could use the Markle family interview to throw more shame on them and gain sympathy from her followers and fans, that the family keep hounding her, etc., and then spin more doubt about just how good a father he was, because she has hinted about parental abuse, though it was a hint, never any more said. She would gain a lot more by softening or appearing to soften towards her family, especially her father. The father has said before that he would not cut off his other two children, Samantha and Thomas Jr. Meghan was ready to reconcile with him previously, but he had to do it on her terms, which meant cutting ties with Samantha and Tom, which he said he would not do to his children. I cannot see him doing that, especially after the united front during this interview, but maybe Meghan can see the potential in reuniting with her father, even though he is still close with the other two, as a way to get control, to prove a point, but also to show that she is a great humanitarian in her eyes. It's all down to whether it's part of the script, but it would be a great PR move for her. Well, I was emailed some interesting information about someone who works in LA and has access to birth records and such like. This person said that there is no birth certificate for a Lilibet Diana Mountbatten, Windsor. But there is, however, a birth certificate for Diana Mary Mountbatten, Windsor. And the child has parents who are not Harry and Meghan. I was told that the parents refused to give up their child for adoption, and this is why we never see Harry and Meghan's daughter or consistent and genuine pictures of them. I believe this is being looked into further, and maybe an interview will come out with the people concerned. So most of us have guessed this for a long time, but there's actually some what seems to be valid information coming out now. So let me have your thoughts on this, and I'll see you in the next one. Kelt here, asking the difficult questions about the Harkles and hopefully providing some answers, or at least some food for thought. So, having thought more about the photos of Lily, well, the alleged photos of Lily, and I'm still not convinced that they are of one particular child. I mentioned the info from an alleged valid source regarding a child named Rebecca Cord, who was supposed to be the daughter of a gardener and the one used for the photo, or the one whose photos used in the coloured photo. I was not convinced about this, and it's been bothering me ever since. In reading some of the comments over various videos, a few people have said the same as I have actually felt, which is that the photo, the actual coloured photo, allegedly of Lily sitting on grass, it looks so familiar, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Some said that it reminded them of someone, and some said it looked like their grandchild or someone they knew. And then I read one comment in particular, and the penny dropped. This particular comment in my video about the microphones where I mentioned this photo, someone made a comment which really interested me, so much so that I pinned it. So this particular viewer said that she visited an elderly lady who was a royal fan and very sharp. And she said that they're both British. She asked her what she thought of the picture of Lily, and the lady explained that it was Harry, Prince Harry. This is why everybody has been explaining how much it has to be Lily, because it looks so much like Harry, which she does, of course. And I think it could be one of two things. Either they're very cleverly photoshopped pictures, whereby earlier photos of Prince Harry's face have been photoshopped into an existing older photo with Meghan, for example, whereby I think she could have been holding a different child and the face was photoshopped with Harry's. And the coloured photo of the child sitting on the grass could have been any random photo of a little girl sitting on the grass, but Harry's face photoshopped into it. For those who say all this is too far-fetched and that we are reaching, I will say this. Other photos of Meghan's have been photoshopped and proven to be. There have been so many inconsistencies and lies, and she has a history of photoshopping pictures to her advantage. So why would she do anything differently now? The other option, I think, is that it's a genuine child with Harry's DNA, and if it has her DNA, which I would very much doubt, I would say probably not born of her body. In fact, I would absolutely doubt that it would be born of her body. I think that goes without saying. But weighing all this up and taking into consideration the fact that multiple valid witnesses verified that there were no children with them entering the country or leaving the country, and no one saw any children in between while they were here, and the vague statement cleverly worded regarding the Queen having met her seems to have been retracted, I would have to say I go with the first option, i.e. that Harry's face as a child has been superimposed and photoshopped into these photos. I've seen the photos of other children who this child is supposed to be, and I'm not convinced it's any of them. I think that the Rebecca Cord thing, the granddaughter of the gardener, could have been put out by Meghan's team to see who would take the bait. I believe now that it could be Harry, the actual face. Someone asked me about the born of the body thing, so I'll explain it as best as I can for those who are interested. It's actually the reason why some of us are so bothered about this subject of the elusive Harkle children, 2 children who are in line to the British throne. And it is important, and this is why. Some of you have asked me to take up the subject of the monarchy's rule on a child needing to be born of the body of a queen, princess or wife of a prince to be a valid heir to the throne. I have been reading the Hansard House of Lords Succession to the Crown Bill, which was debated on the 13th of March 2013. The first amendment was by Lord True. What an appropriate name. He refers to 2 new clauses, which he later retracts. One being a marriage is a royal marriage for the purposes of establishing the claim of any person to succeed the crown as an heir to the body if that marriage is a marriage between a man and a woman. Number 2, a person is disqualified from succeeding to the crown as an heir to the body of a royal marriage if they are not the offspring of both parties to that marriage. Number 3, this section does not apply in any case where both Houses of Parliament passed a resolution to the effect that it should not apply. Lord True goes on to emphasise when he set out the detailed points because he wanted to ensure that they were not made in relation to the Marriage Act, and that included the Same-Sex Couples Bill, and he said that he would deplore any attempt to obstruct that bill by implication of any issue involving the Crown. He refers to the 7th century term heir of the body, which was the governing definition for the right to succession. He talked about how it might be tested in the courts under modern conditions. For instance, the legislation and emerging legislation for same-sex marriage and the techniques of surrogate childbirth. He asks a question whether a child could be argued to be an heir of the body if they were born of surrogacy and were only an heir of the body from one person in the couple. So in this case, it would be argued whether a child that had Harry's DNA but not Meghan's DNA could be regarded as an heir to the throne. It's also questioned whether a child would be regarded as an heir to the throne if created from both the parents in the marriage where one of them is an heir to the throne, but the child was born of a surrogate. He says that in a letter to him, it was stated that the European Court of Human Rights would not entertain such a claim because the right to succeed is not a family right, a property right, nor a civil right. He says that he hopes that it is so, and that it is territory into which he's not qualified to go. He also refers to the Human Fertilisation and Embryology Act of 2005, that an heir of a queen's body alone could not succeed. The conclusion I've reached with all of this, as it's quite a complicated document, is that the rules still stand that a child has to be born of the body of a married couple where one of them is an heir to the throne. This is all being questioned, and due to the relaxing and changing of some of these rules, and one in particular was changed so that the females could inherit the line to the throne, and this was changed so that this enables Princess Charlotte to be in line for the throne, whereas before it would have gone straight from Prince George to Prince Louis, missing Charlotte. The Queen became the Queen because her mother had no sons, just 2 daughters, Princess Elizabeth and Princess Margaret. That rule wasn't in effect then, but because there were no sons in that family, Princess Elizabeth was the one to become Queen. It does seem as if these things can be changed, but it would have to go through the 2 Houses of Parliament, With all these new human rights acts emerging, it's emphasising the outdated, but many believe very necessary rules on succession of the throne. The actual interpretation of heirs of the body and natural born means that that person must be born within a marriage and of the body. And in previous years, the birth had to be witnessed by the Prime Minister at the time. This has been relaxed in recent years, and I believe that the Queen was the last one whose first birth was witnessed, and since then it's not been enforced. It was originally enforced due to the true story of how a baby was allegedly swapped at birth, and a royal baby, and so became an invalid heir to the throne. This story I'm referring to is the bed warming pan incident. This lord states that it's quite clear as a matter of common law that only a natural-born child of a husband and wife can succeed the throne. He says he does not intend to press his amendment, but he talks about there being uncertainty being removed and he withdraws his amendment. This is very interesting reading. I'll put a link to it for those who want to peruse this in depth in the description. It goes through a lot of subjects to do with succession and the royals. The warming pan scandal was what brought about the need for a witness to a royal birth when it was in direct line to the throne. The event was James II. He was not a very popular monarch. He was Catholic and married to a Catholic, and he attempted to repeal the penal laws. He was due to be succeeded by his Protestant daughters, Mary and then Anne. When his wife Mary became pregnant in 1687, Parliament and others were very concerned about the possibility of a Catholic heir to the throne. They were also suspicious about the pregnancy, as Mary hadn't been pregnant for over 5 years. Also the future Queen and others then speculated with friends that she wore a fake belly, which was setting the stage for the scandal. Does this ring any bells? However, James Francis Edward was born on the 10th of June 1688 in London at St James's Palace. Although Mary did in fact give birth to James, rumours quickly spread that the baby was stillborn and another child was smuggled into her room in a warming pan. It is not very likely because of the number of witnesses and the limited size of a warming pan. However, this rumour took off, and people repeated and reinforced the rumours again and again, and it got to the point that James had over 70 witnesses to sign an affidavit stating that they saw the birth, but the damage was already done. As a result of this, it was necessary for an official to attend the birth. Usually it was the Prime Minister. Again, I put a link to this subject in the description. So there were rumours of moon bumps back in the 1600s. Can you believe it? As I was saying, this subject is important to many people and they question Meghan's pregnancies and births because of the very fact that an heir to the throne needs to be authentic. If we're going to have a monarchy, it needs to be totally authentic. Many people are very passionate about this subject. However, laws change, and it's interesting that they have been debating these sort of things in the House of Lords. What do you think? Should they bring back the old rule of a Prime Minister being present? Can you imagine Boris at the birth of Catherine's next baby, possibly? I can't. But it could be a law that could help keep a ruthless, ambitious person from trying to take the throne. What do you think? I think DNA testing is the way to go. How about you? Let me have your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye. Here. Headlines from yesterday from the Express, and I quote, Prince Harry told several people he wants to christen Lilibet, and by the way, I noticed that she's being nicknamed Lilypad by some viewers, at Windsor Castle. This totally goes against everything he said recently about not wanting to be part of the royal family, and especially the antiquated traditions. Well, I think there's only one reason why he would want to do that, and that is because it's the only way that she could be in the line of succession, because a royal has to be baptised in the Church of England to be in the line of succession. The Express is also saying that Prince Harry and his wife donated nappies to homeless mothers living in LA, which is great. But in the great scheme of things, I think with the amount of money they have, they could do a lot more than just donate nappies. Perhaps they could do more, but just don't tell us about it. But why tell us about the nappies? This same paper is also saying that Harry and Meghan's PR team cannot sit back, as they need to keep them in the limelight. Why? Why do they need to be in the limelight? It has to be more than just feeding Meghan's hunger for attention. He's also being slated by royal commentator Angela Levin and talk radio host Mike Graham for his behaviour during the unveiling of his mother's statue. I think his behaviour was true to himself, and if they didn't want that behaviour, they shouldn't have asked him along. No, don't panic and think that I'm getting soft on him. I'm not in any way. I'm just saying, when you know what someone is like, and you know what behaviour to expect from them, why do you invite them to something and expect them to behave differently from the norm? They're also comparing Prince William and Princess Anne with Harry, saying that they've done all the right things, went up to see the Queen afterwards, etc., but Harry shot off after 15 minutes. Well, if he stayed, he would have been criticised, and in going early, he's criticised. So, they know what he's like. That's what I'm saying. Angela Levin says that when she spent a long time with him, she noticed that when he's uncomfortable, he becomes a joker. Well, if that's the case, then he must have been feeling very uncomfortable during most of the videos and Zoom calls that he did with Meghan, and basically every public engagement that he's ever done, because he was always joking around. That is, apart from when he was looking angry. Some are even suggesting that the visit was very little to do with Harry honouring his mother's memory, but everything to do with PR for him. I think that he obviously does have a lot of feelings for his mother, but he's so, in my opinion, he's so influenced by his wife that he cannot see the woods for the trees. What do you think? They're in the paper for a reason. The thing is, why? They are in there for every single thing they do, every mundane part of their life, every drama, everything is in the headlines. And I think it goes beyond Harry's or Meghan's ego, and I think we'll find out soon enough too. So let me have your thoughts. Please subscribe, ding my bell for more alerts for more videos, like if you liked it, and share. Bye. Here, bringing you the intrigue and hopefully answering some questions about the royal family, especially Harry and Meghan. I've been looking in depth at the photos of Harry and Meghan and their friend, who in this photo are currently on the way to see Oprah, and it looks like someone was sitting in the back with a cardboard Meghan face mask sitting beside a pile of laundry. And I know there were rumours about it being a third hand regarding Harry, but I think it's been proved to be a trick of the light or a reflection. Well, they don't look very happy. It makes it look like she's either about to burst into tears or she's seen a ghost. Perhaps they were winding themselves up in preparation for the second tell-all interview with Oprah. Netflix is going to be annoyed that they couldn't get anything from the Harkles, not one picture with Lily and the Queen, and yet it seems they're going to spill everything to Oprah. I still don't think the photo is genuine. Harry and the assistant look as if they're in it, but Meghan looks as if she's stuck in the back, and it looks like a cardboard cutout or a photoshopped picture. I don't know why her head would be looking so very large and strange. Whether it's genuine or whether it's staged, they want to give the impression that they're not happy. A 5-minute drive from their home in 2 huge vehicles and the need for security as well. Ridiculous. Well, from the look of the photos, the interview is going to be Meghan really laying it on at how distressed she is. She looks as though she's been crying and stressing out, and I suppose it will help her put across her victim status to Oprah. She'll probably say how they were surrounded by photographers and hounded on their way there during the 5-minute drive. It will all add to the drama, but the only way for the photographer to get their picture during such a short trip would be because they had called them up in advance, as usual. Another close look at the photo, and I'm seeing huge lips, as if she's had lip fillers and maybe gone a little too far. They look massive in this picture. And then, in the next picture, she looks like a different person. It's clearer, and it looks as if her friend is either telling her off or giving her some sound advice. But in this picture, she does look as though she's crying. She definitely does in this one. So, are these pictures photoshopped? That's what the question is. Don't forget that Meghan herself said that she could cry on command and even choose which eye to shed a tear from. Let's not forget that. The divorce rumours are still going around, but I'm thinking that this has been done on purpose. I doubt very much that Meghan would actually want a divorce right now, especially if it was Harry divorcing her. He would really have to fight for it, because she wants to hang on to the title for as long as possible, in my opinion. I don't think she's quite ready yet for the divorce. And as far as we can see, she hasn't got a billionaire lined up yet. So I think that they are encouraging those rumours to stay in the headlines and maybe even to show just how much the royal family have stressed them, cost them so many problems in their marriage that was so close to divorce. So that's what I think it is. And also the divorce rumours take the attention away from the fact that the alleged surrogacy is being talked about more and more, and it's being questioned more. There are massive hints, especially when you see headlines, covers of magazines, where it has Harry and William and surrogacy all on the same page. One of my viewers sent me a good question, which is that when a parent, or one parent or both parents, is British, living in another country, then they have to register the child's birth with the British Embassy, but this hasn't happened with Lily as far as we know. There's no evidence of the birth certificate for her either. More interesting information about the surrogacy thing coming out. Apparently, Prince William wants proof of Archie and Lily's birth, and he wants concrete evidence. He wants the records, and it's being said that Meghan is starting to panic because Harry might relinquish his title and his place in the line of succession so that they don't have to provide any birth records, so that the children would actually not be in the line of succession as well. So yeah, I can see that she would panic about that. And another comment in the Daily Mail was, "Oh, how interesting. The fertility doctor is suddenly closing up shop. The husband runs a surrogacy clinic, and a secret mystery birth allegedly occurs with no records, and they are saying that the kid is somehow in line to the throne. Oh, okay. Wow." Laugh out loud. Another comment from this person named Luca says, "Word has it that plans to tell the world that it was Harry who kept her away from her family. He insisted that she cleave onto him alone. She will say she is a victim of domestic abuse by an unstable, anger-driven sociopath who isolated her from her family and friends." I'm not sure. I think she is capable of that, but I think that unless Harry actually loses or relinquishes his title, I think she will hang on. And I think she's more likely to blame the royal family for the way that Harry is. She will say that he's impossible to live with and that he hasn't treated her well, and she'll do it to get all the sympathy, but I think she will blame the royal family. It's been said that the palace want to get this out into the public, and Meghan is going to totally distract from this by going on the Oprah show. And it's also being said that she really believes in herself and believes that she can manipulate the public to feeling sorry for her. And all this will be so that eventually, when she finds Mr. Billionaire, she will say that she could no longer be with Harry, although she loves him deeply, because of his mental health. It was just too much for her. And because of the way he treated her, she'll say it wasn't his fault because it was the way his family brought him up. He was so damaged by them. Many are saying that she's going to blame Harry for being an abusive husband, but I believe that she will be saying how much she still loves him, but how impossible it is to be with him, and she will blame the royal family. I would not be surprised if she and Harry separate, but not divorce, so that they can both blame the royal family for the state of their marriage. And she can also keep her title and say that she loves him, but cannot be with him. It's being said that they are blaming each other at the moment, but I think that they will again blame the royal family for everything. What do you think? Let me have your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one. And in the meantime, here's a little slideshow of the nicer side of the royal family. Hi everyone, Kelt here, bringing you my thoughts on the British royal family, and today I'll be addressing some of your comments to my last two videos. One of you commented, and it was a great comment, that if the alleged girl was born in the US, then Charles has no claim. That would make her a US citizen because Charles has no jurisdiction in the States. Absolutely, I agree. If there was a girl, then that's true, but one never knows with the powers that be and the relationships between countries, leaders of countries, etc. Anything can happen. But I agree with you. And then that also means that if she's a US citizen, then she cannot be a princess. Someone else asks, what kids are you talking about? Do they have real kids? Well, most of us don't think they do. A lot of this is hypothetical because the media is talking as though they do have kids. Another great comment is, anyone notice when reference is made to the children, Lilibet's name has quietly been dropped? Yes, absolutely. I noticed that, and I'm thinking it could be that the media also disapprove with how the Queen's nickname was basically stolen. And maybe they're purposely not using it, or even more likely because they know that she doesn't exist. Perhaps maybe Archie exists and Lily doesn't, but Archie belongs to someone else. That's what I tend to think, that there is a boy that they use, but the girl is totally non-existent, just photos. Not sure, but we will soon see. I have looked on the royal website, and although there is mention of a Prince Archie, 7th in line to the throne, I believe, I cannot find any mention of a Princess Lilibet or a Princess Lily anywhere on that website. That's very interesting. Take a look yourself and see if there is, if I've missed something. But I've searched and put in the search box within the royal website different variations of her name and princess. Nothing comes up. Another very valid comment or question is, do you Brits really believe British law is in effect in the US? Charles has no authority here. Well, we of course know this, but we also know that the members of a certain club scratch each other's backs and could have made anything happen, though I believe that's not likely nowadays. The reason I mentioned about Charles's authority over heirs to the throne was because not that it would be put into effect, and not least because most of us believe there are no children anyway, but that it could be useful during any future arguments or power flexing. Someone else said that Meghan only carried moon bumps, and as we remember, one fell down around her knees in Birkenhead. This is very old news, but quite new for some people who are only just realising that we have just not really seen any children. Wherever Harry and Meghan go, they don't have any children with them. Another question, why aren't the media and royals commenting? What are they hiding? Very suspicious. All I can say is give it time. Another very valid comment is, maybe the rumoured super injunction is up for renewal and it's not been granted by the judge. Let's hope so, and the whole truth comes out. Yes, I absolutely agree with that. I think this could be the trigger, if you like, for the whole rest of the truth coming out. Another very valid comment, and I quote, "The king did not formally announce the titles for the two kids, therefore the titles were not recognised by the royal family." End quote. I agree, he did not formally announce the titles, and I don't believe I've heard him use the name Lilibet or Lily, and I don't think I've heard him say Archie, but it does surprise me that Archie's name and title are on the royal website as an heir to the throne. Someone else says, and I quote, "Sorry to burst your bubble, there is no Archie official, let alone a Lily doll." End quote. Yes, I tend to believe that too, but I discuss all sides to the story because it's interesting to see how the media run with this and how the royal family deal with it also. And what is very important is that there are people that have no clue yet and really believe that they have two children, don't notice the differences each time they're photographed. And I think discussing it all is better than just stating that they don't exist, end of. It's very black and white, and I tend not to be like that. I tend to look at every possibility and be prepared to have my mind changed. Someone else is asking me, didn't Danger Zone, and for those who don't know Danger Zone, that was Ashley, the lovely fellow YouTube creator who I love and miss, who passed away sadly. And she did some investigation and said that the doctor on the birth certificate for Lily wasn't even working then. Yes, she did. And I remember that video, and I also remember mentioning it in one of mine, and it is true. Thank you for pointing that out. Someone else asks me, what will King Charles do with rented grandchildren? My question is, what will the general public do when the truth about all of them come out? But I digress. Another comment was, what about the tweet from Kensington Palace that was only posted for a very short time about the birth of Archie, saying something about the surrogate? Yes, I remember that, and I did a video on that as well, whereby a post which was from Kensington Palace, a tweet, allegedly from Catherine and William, saying that a surrogate was used and they apologised. I'll find that if I can and post it again. I talked about this in a previous video. I think there was truth in that, and I don't even believe it was an employee that did it, even though there was a grammatical error. I think that at 1 a.m. or whatever, I believe that if they were discussing it, I can just imagine Catherine and William in bed discussing all the issues before they go to sleep, and this preying on their mind and not having any peace about it, getting up, going down and doing something about it because they're basically honest. And that's how I see it happening. And then taking it down shortly after, because maybe just allowing enough time for people to run with it. And who cares about grammatical errors at that time of the morning when you're probably half asleep anyway? So that's what I think probably happened. I think it eased their consciences because they're both very honest people. Someone else says, about time there was clarification of the births. If by surrogate, they have to come clean. What nationality of a surrogate, if not born of the body, they will not be in line of succession? Absolutely, that's true. And then this person says, too much mystery. For what reason? If the children are not of the body, why is Harry going along with the deception? Very good question. I believe Harry and others have gone along with the deception because there is a much bigger picture here, and he's just playing his part in it. Someone else says that the British public deserves to know the real truth about these invisible children. My answer to that is yes, they do, and maybe they are finding out through all the bizarre and weird and unbelievable photos, videos, non-matching stories about this very subject. It's no good telling someone that something isn't real. It's much better to show them and let them realise it eventually themselves. Someone else says, yes, these things should be 100% investigated. An 11-month moving pregnancy bump and born in no time at all, 40 minutes, no way. Yes, I agree, and these things do not need to be investigated because it will all be public before too long. Another very good comment. The king didn't give the kids the titles, that woman took them. Yes, she did. She was the one that first, if you like, officially announced them by using them. But they automatically received those titles after the Queen died. Most likely not born of the body. And I also believe that they are supposed to be born within wedlock with the royal and his wife both being married, and the baby should be born of his wife's womb. And I think that is very valid, because I don't believe that it happened that way, and most people don't believe it happened that way. Another comment from one of my viewers, and I quote, "I love to watch your old videos. You were the first creator I watched after I figured her out. I think Her Majesty the Queen left a little bit out of her will because she wasn't her granddaughter because of the sheer disrespect of her name." I think that's a brilliant question. I think that she left her out of her will because of the fact that she doesn't exist, and because they basically stole her name and manipulated her. Someone else says that the titles were automatic on the death of the Queen. Yes, but not if they don't exist, or if they were born not of the body of the prince's wife and within wedlock. The way it happened makes a farce of the whole thing. And this comment, King Charles raised his glass to Archie and said, "To Archie, wherever he may be." That says a lot. That's a massive hint for all of us. Yes, they know, and it will be out before long. Another good comment. If King Charles and Prince William have this alleged birth certificate of Diana Mountbatten Windsor, they know it all. It's game on. The monarchy and the firm always play the long game in a multi-level chess game. Yes, they do. And in part this is what's happening, but it's part of a much bigger picture. Another question is, have I heard of any agreements that Harry had to have children by age 40 in order for certain reciprocity, I think I said that right, to take place? Yes, I did hear this. Can't remember where, but I do remember that he had to have children by 40 for whatever reason. Another valid point from someone is that their wedding was also a sham because not even their real names were used, because it should have been Henry Charles Albert David, not Harry. I agree, I noticed that at the time as well. Several people have made comments about the royal news reporter Nicholas Witchell, who is a very experienced reporter, and I mentioned him in my last video and showed a clip of him stumbling over his words and then not being able to talk and handing it back to the newsroom because he could not lie. And now another great comment from one of my viewers, which goes as follows. Lilibet does not exist. I'm from Los Angeles, California. I work for the county registrar, and I've checked that there is no child born in California with the name of Lilibet Diana Mountbatten Windsor, but there is a Diana Mary Mountbatten Windsor born with the same date of birth with different parents. I've sent all legal documents to William and Charles and UK Home Office and UK Security. Harry and Meghan were adopting a girl, but problem after problem, and the birth mother decided to keep her daughter, and Meghan and Harry didn't get the little girl. And she goes on, they have been borrowing other people's kids, like the Jubilee photo is the daughter Hartford Schroeder Clark, the daughter of Stacey in both Schroeder Clark. So thank you for that comment. I've seen this before and mentioned it in a previous video. And yes, it will all go public at some point, I'm sure. And it definitely needs to. And as some of you are saying, Mountbatten Windsor is not a common name. So this is not any coincidence. It's good that many people are seeing this now. And I think that's why it's been taking so long, because most people would not be able to handle knowing this. But the more it becomes accepted and people get the word out and see the evidence for themselves, it becomes easier then for it to be made public officially. So keep watching. Most of my details around the birth and pregnancies are in my older videos. You'll have to go back through them and find them, but I covered most of the stuff that's been talked about and is still being talked about now. The thing is, some of the really good information could be in a video that isn't mentioning it in the actual title. It could be a video that's covering several subjects. So it's a bit frustrating for me as well, because I don't know where a lot of my information is in my old videos, and I really don't have the time to go through them. There must be over 500 of them now, I think. So thanks for your lovely comments and very valid questions. I'm sorry I couldn't answer all of them or discuss all of them, but I do read as many as I can. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. And ask me more questions. I can't guarantee I can answer them, but I'll do my best. Much love. Bye. Celt here. Some of the mainstream media are tearing apart Samantha Markle for being real, for showing her true emotions and voicing her heartache over her sister's treatment of her father and also the royal family. The Express has said it's a joke and have really come down hard on Samantha because she broke down when asked by Dan Wootton whether she loved her sister. Some agree with her. Others are on the fence, but the Express thinks it's a joke and seem to have it in for Samantha. Most people who have watched Samantha over the years and even had contact with her know that she is honest, straightforward, and has much more integrity than her sister. She spoke from her heart in the video and impressed many of us. I also was well aware of the fact that she looks even more like her younger sister and even sounded like her. So it sort of made me even more aware of the difference in personality, the fact that her hair colouring, her facial expressions and her voice were so much like Meghan, but the personality was so very genuine and real, and she was genuinely heartfelt with no ego or acting involved, in my opinion. Some of the papers are referring to Samantha as being Meghan Markle's bullying half-sister. I would say this is the last thing she is. I think we can tell by various things the family have said, and friends, school friends. Remember the hazing incident? It's not a joke to glue somebody's eyelashes together in school or college. You've only got to look at some of the expressions of Meghan over the years, and yes, you can tell a book by its cover sometimes. I feel so sorry for Samantha to have been labelled the bully when it was totally the opposite. It's actually her sister who has had legal action taken against her by palace workers for actual bullying, not Samantha. Samantha's father also is a genuine man, and I feel sorry for him. I used to think he was very naive, but I think he knows full well that there are doubts about the existence of Meghan's children, just as Samantha queried in that interview, and that by taking her to court over this, to exercise his grandparental rights, he is making her come forth with evidence that they exist. So for him, hopefully it's a win-win, and it may be for us too. Samantha's reaction to Dan's question reveals the level of pain that family have suffered. I didn't include this clip in the last video, but I am in this one towards the end. There have been people suggesting that they were all in on it as a money-making scheme, that Samantha and her father, her brother, and the whole family were all cashing in on it, and that they were all working together in this drama. I don't think so. I think Samantha is genuine. I think her father is genuine, and I think their pain is real. So they might make money from the publicity. That's just another issue. The fact is, they've been genuinely hurt, I believe. Take a look at the short clips of both of them and tell me that they are putting it on and that they are not genuine.
It's really hard to love somebody who has caused so much pain to so many people, especially our dad, through 2 heart attacks, and watching her do this to the royals. You know, I always said I could unconditionally love anybody, especially family. But God, your neighbor comes through your house and runs you over while you're on the couch? Do you still have fluffy feelings? Do you still like your neighbor? I mean, how can I know? I can't say I can love somebody who is so unbelievably cruel. Can I forgive? Can we forgive? Yeah, but I mean, I think it would take another 40 years to rebuild that, or to be able to get to the point where we could say, or where I could say that I love her. So I have to say no, I don't.
Take this opportunity to ask Her Majesty the Queen, the British family, the royal family, to allow Lily to receive her baptism and first christening at the Queen's Church. We shouldn't be punishing her for Meghan and Harry's bad behavior.
And it just seems so sad.
The whole interview with Meghan raises so many questions, and these are the questions that people are asking. Why does the place look like it's not really lived in? The fireplace hasn't been cleaned since the last video, and it looks as if they just rent the place for the videos for their interviews. Everything looks like a prop. 2. Why does Meghan have a pile of books on the table instead of a proper stand? Why would she be making it pretty obvious that she's got a lot of spare books that she couldn't sell? 3. Why are they trying to be making everything humorous by having Harry juggling outside the window? Is this to try and win people over, to sort of grab them with the humour? 4. Who replaced the biscuits with the birthday cake on the table in front of Meghan? 5. Where were the children? What loving mother hides her children away every time she makes a video, especially a birthday video? If there were children there, and she made sure they were out of the way for the video, why do that? Why try to look as if you were childless? Even the dog has no toy and looks more like a prop. 6. From the strange bulge on Meghan's cheek to the line on her neck dividing two different skin colours, why are all these videos so weird looking? Some are saying it's CGI. 7. The latest picture on the internet, which purports to show Doria holding Lily and Archie, why does it look photoshopped and put together? And why does Archie look different in every photo? And number 8, why are there no photos of the 4 of them? Number 9, why didn't Harry make a public birthday announcement wishing his wife happy birthday? Did this obviously slip the minds of the people who are directing this drama? Number 10, why is Meghan trying to get 40 people to help people back to work when she doesn't even have a proper job herself and is most definitely not qualified to do this anyway? And her 40 friends are probably not qualified. Number 11, when Melissa McCarthy mentioned yachting, so many questioned Meghan's shameless reaction. Is she really shameless or just clueless? People are asking. So, let me have your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one. I'll just leave you with the clips of Samantha and of her father, and I think they're genuine. How about you?
It's really hard to love somebody who has caused so much pain to so many people, especially our dad, through 2 heart attacks, and watching her do this to the royals. You know, I always said I could unconditionally love anybody, especially family. But God, your neighbor comes through your house and runs you over while you're on the couch? Do you still have fluffy feelings? Do you still like your neighbor? I mean, how can I know? I can't say I can love somebody who is so unbelievably cruel. Can I forgive? Can we forgive? Yeah, but I mean, I think it would take another 40 years to rebuild that, or to be able to get to the point where we could say, or where I could say that I love her. So I have to say no, I don't.
take this opportunity to ask Her Majesty the Queen, the British family, the royal family, to allow Lily to receive her baptism and first christening at the Queen's Church. We shouldn't be punishing her for Meghan and Harry's bad behavior.
And it just seems so sad.
Please subscribe, ding my bell for more alerts for more videos, like if you liked it and share. Bye. Celt here, bringing you my thoughts on the British royal family, and today I'll be talking about the late Queen and her reaction to the use of her nickname by Harry and Meghan, and also the fact that all of their misdeeds are coming out into the public. Things that myself and other YouTubers were talking about years ago, where we were actually accused of making things up, well, these things are now being confirmed by the palace and others. I made a video a few years ago saying that the Queen had not realised that Harry and Meghan wanted to use her nickname, Lilibet, which was actually precious to her and associated with Prince Philip. He was the only one that used it in her later years, or in her adulthood, and it was also related to her childhood, whereby her close family called her Lilibet. She was of the understanding that Prince Harry was asking to use her full name, Elizabeth, to which she agreed. He knew full well that she thought that it was regarding Elizabeth, and I think it was very sneaky, a very sneaky way of doing it. And it was after the event when she realised that they were using the name Lilibet, it was very, very hurtful for her. As I said, I made a video about this, and if I find this, I'll put a link to it in the description. I had information back then when they named her, and I'm so glad that it's now been made public. I also said back then that Meghan copyrighted the name before she had even given birth. I think this might be in that same video, or it might be in a different one, but I called this out years ago. The Queen was furious that Meghan had done this, and who can blame her? But she had to keep a stiff upper lip. She had to keep this calm, don't complain and never explain attitude, which was so much a royal thing. The Daily Mail online is pointing out that Prince Harry is seen for the first time since the reveal about the late Queen being distraught at that time. They were describing Harry as glowering. Well, to be honest, he doesn't look like Harry to me, but he is glowering. As far as Meghan copywriting Lilibet's name, she copyrights everything that she thinks she can use in the future. She was even selling HRH t-shirts, to the dismay of the Queen. It was the royal aides to which the Queen voiced her displeasure over Harry and Meghan. Before this happened, Meghan had already told the Queen to drop dead, and the palace aides were trying not to just protect the Queen, but also not to lose their jobs by betraying confidences. They never complain and never explain, and that family have always put this into effect, so the Queen's displeasure was shown in different ways. It was very subtle, but it was made clear that they were not welcome and not invited to family events as they were before. And yes, it was Meghan who put it out about various invitations to Balmoral and such like, just as a wind-up and as pressure to actually get an invite, which she could then refuse. It was all game playing, as I said, and it was a game of chess, and it appears that the Queen did win in the end. Although this alleged child is named Lilibet, we've never really seen her, and Meghan has not been able to make money out of her and show her off, because we've seen different children each time, and weird photos, some of Harry as a child, some of August Brooksbank, and now this has been brought out into the mainstream media about just how angry the Queen was. This will now mean that the identity of these children and the proof of them actually existing will also be brought into the mainstream, and demands are already being made regarding DNA testing and proof that they are actually in line to the throne. Back to the naming of the child, it was said that Harry had said that if the Queen had not been supportive, they would not have used the name. Well, that was an absolute lie. Harry must have known. It has been said that the Queen was so taken aback that she could not say no. I don't believe that. I believe that she genuinely thought that they meant Elizabeth, and I think the palace are trying to smooth it all over, as if the Queen knew at the time that they were going to use Lilibet. I really think she was fooled into thinking they were going to use Elizabeth up until the name was announced. Also, she would have had a bit more clout if she'd known they were going to do that, and probably would have stopped the use of that name. And in some way, just like she sent Harry and Meghan packing and retrieved Meghan's rings. That's another video. Interesting also that Prince William and Catherine never used the name Lilibet and always referred to her as Lily whenever they had to. And it's interesting that the papers are saying that Queen Elizabeth no longer viewed Harry and Meghan as friends nor family. That's quite a serious thing, seeing as the Queen was always very much about family. I'm sure the palace aides would have shown the Queen the photos of Meghan glaring at her, and probably all the truths about Meghan's past, which maybe she didn't know all of them, but she would also have seen the awful photos of the way that Meghan looked at Catherine as well. I think telling the Queen to drop dead, and this is Meghan telling her to drop dead, was probably the final straw, and the Queen never trusted her after that at all. Well, I'm looking at headlines now that have just come in, breaking news, saying that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are silent after Princess Catherine and King Charles's health updates. Well, the health updates regarding Catherine are that she's had a successful, albeit planned, abdominal operation and will not be in the public eye until Easter. That's quite a long time. She also does not want her private medical details to be in the public eye, which is totally understandable. And as far as King Charles is concerned, he is expected to undergo surgery next week for an enlarged prostate. So amongst all the tributes flooding in for them, Harry and Meghan managed still to get in the paper by their deafening silence. Catherine will be in hospital for 2 weeks and needs up to 3 months to recover. So, as far as I gather, it was straightforward, not cancerous, but there are no details, and we shouldn't expect any more details because it is her private information. So, back to copywriting Lilibet, the name. It seems to be in most of the headlines now, and people are shocked that Meghan actually did this before the alleged child was even born. So let me have your thoughts on this, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.